Hello everyone, and today I'm finally coming around to making the video on my new Ryzen based Testbench system, which you can see right here, running TimeSpy. And I'm doing this right now in this also more improvised manner because I really want to get a video out right now, and I am in the finishing stages of the GTX 580 versus video that has a lot higher quality than this one. I might actually remake this one when I have time. But the thing is, I have to edit that still. I have my script, I have it all, I have the audio for it, I have some B-roll, but I still have to edit it, and I'll probably also end up having to record some more B-roll. So this is why I'm making this video right now, because it's not that hard to make. So I'm just taking my camera right here and I'm gonna show you around my new system, which I call Kepler-18, or just Kepler. 18 because it has a Ryzen 7 1800X in it. And so this is, currently has the 980 Ti in it. I'm obviously using it for all the GPU benchmarking right here. And actually I can show you right here. You can see it's a really basic installation of Windows. That is because, well, I have two installations of Windows on this PC actually. One is for doing normal stuff, like whatever I want to do with it, and also stability testing something, and then I have this install, which is the most basic I could get. And this is where I do my benchmarks, so nothing in the background can get into the results and screw something up. So, so as I've said, at the moment it has the 980 Ti in it, and I think now I'm gonna take the 980 Ti out, and then we can take a closer look at the things that we have in that system. So now we have the graphics card out, and now you can see a little bit more. We still have that V-mount in here, and I'm gonna explain why I use that later. But we can now see the most stuff that is in the system. So, as I've already said, I have a Ryzen 7 1800X in there. It is under a Corsair H159 Pro RGB, I think it is. It's the 280mm CLC. Not running the stock fans right now because I use those for a different thing. And we have 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance RGB. This is my old memory kit. I have my new kit actually over there in my main system. You can see those RAM sticks. That is just Vengeance Pro RGB, also 16 gigabytes. And pretty much the only reason why why this is, I just needed a new memory kit. So this is my old one. This is a XMP 3000 CL16 kit. It's Hynix AFR. It's pretty bad. I have it running 3200 CL16 though. That's what it can do. It can't go any further. So it's pretty much maxed out, but it is memtest stable, so it is running. And then of course the motherboard, which you could see right there. That is a Gigabyte GA-AX370 Gaming K7. So there, for X370, this was pretty much Gigabyte's flagship motherboard, which you can also see. You have some overclocking features like the power button, reset button, clear CMOS button, and then an OC button, which I never press because I don't really know what it does. Also in typical Gigabyte fashion, you have your two BIOS chips over here, so you have dual BIOS, which is pretty nice. And so about this board, It is X370, so it is miles away from X570 boards. But it was pretty much the best you could get from Gigabyte back then, and it is a 6-phase V-core and then a 4-phase SoC. The VRM is decent. It is, I would say, good actually. Like for an 1800X, it is perfectly usable. It's just that, yeah, a 3950X would be a little bit too heavy for this motherboard. Maybe a 3900X also. But I'm also using, I'm only using first gen Ryzen in this, so the board is perfectly fine. And yeah, then I'm also running a M.2 SSD right here. Actually, this board and the processor came as a bundle. Like I got everything as a bundle for 300 quid on eBay. So I got the processor, I got the motherboard, I got this 256 gig OEM M.2 SSD, and I got one stick. None of those, but it was actually also a Corsair Vengeance RGB, also 3000 CO16 stick, but that one was Hynix CJR, which is much better than AFR. So that one stick, that one 8GB stick, it is capable of booting 3666, but stable 3600 CL18, I think. Might be CL20, I'm not so sure. It is the single most best stick of memory that I have, though. Sadly, it's just one stick, so yeah, we're neither getting 60GB from that, nor do we get dual channel, which is why I'm using this very, very bad memory kit. And yeah, then things that you can see at the moment, because the PSU shroud is in front of it. We have the power supply. That is the same 750 watt power supply that we had before. And then here we have a 500 gig hard drive. That one's pretty much used for nothing. I had games on that, but I stopped using it for games because if you can see down there, we have an SSD. That's a Samsung 860 QVO. That's a 1TB SSD, and that's where I have all the games and also the benchmark install of Windows on. And then the regular installers on that SSD. And then the hard drive is pretty much empty, as I said. And yeah, so then I also have several fans that I just had lying around. I'm not using the fans that this came with anymore, because I actually have them over there, as you can see. Those two are taped together, and I had them. So the 780 Ti currently has the Morpheus on it with those two 120mm fans, and before I had those on there, I would just stick the card with the Morpheus into the PC and then put the two 140 fans, just put them on the PSU shroud, and use those for cooling. So I still have those taped together if I end up using that again. But I do have some 2200 RPM VADA fans coming my way, so I will very likely use those for the Morpheus heatsink going forward. So I have this one HD 140 on here, and the Silence Rings 3. They're pretty powerful for the radiator, and I also have them hooked up to this right here, the fan hub of the case, not from the AIO. The AIO is actually controlling those two up here, which are these came with my Fractal Design Meshiphase 2 case. They are pretty weak, actually. These are just cooling the VRM. And then we have this Pure Wings 2 just as an exhaust. And I have also set up all the fans as an exhaust because I want them to pull hot air away from the GPUs. And because I have the side panel off all the time. So yeah, having intakes doesn't really make sense anyway. And yeah, so that's pretty much from what I can show right now. And now I can actually also show, we're only at 7 minutes, hey, we have some time. I can also show the rest, which is down here. That is Zoros Alpha. I still have Zoros Alpha, and right now it's purely doing server stuff. It's hosting dedicated game servers, and at the moment it also has the RX 570 in it. Normally I have no GPU, I'm just using the iGPU from the i5 3570. At the moment it has the RX 570 in it because I'm doing folding at home on both the CPU and the GPU for this PC, because I want to contribute to potentially finding a cure for the pandemic that's currently going on. So that's what Zoros Alpha is doing. Well, this one is benching. And yeah, so speaking of the 1800X, it's a really, really early one. You can see it on the IHS of the CPU when it was made. This one is mid 2017, I think. So this is really, really close to launch. And actually the IHS looks a little bit different. It's a little bit more silvery and than the other Ryzen CPUs, because I also have a second Ryzen CPU, but I'm gonna get to that later. So this 1800X, I have it overclocked, of course. I wouldn't have gotten Gigabyte's top-end motherboard Factory 70 if I wouldn't overclock. And yeah, so I have it running on, I think, the highest LLC. I don't know, it might be one step below the highest LLC. It still has quite a bit of VDROOP. So in BIOS I have set 1.4 volts. In reality I get 1.36, 1.37 under full load. Running 4.025 gigahertz. That's the max that I could get out of the CPU. With a more aggressive LLC or some more voltage, I might get to 4.05, but 4.1 isn't. This CPU is not doing 4.1. So from what I'm seeing, I think it is about average, maybe a bit above average, but it's not exceptional. Like, it's not like the 1800X from my friend, which does 4.2 gigahertz. To be fair, it's running an X570 Aorus Elite, so that is a 12 phase. A doubled one, I think, but still a 12 phase. And yeah, so his CPU is running 4.2, and his CPU just like put it up against any other 1800X, and it's probably gonna beat that one, because 4.2 gigahertz is, yeah, that's very, very good for an 1800X. So, and then speaking of my second Ryzen CPU, I also have a Ryzen 5 1600 from another friend. He upgraded to a 3600 a while ago, and he just asked me if, like, I asked him, do you need your old CPU still? I'd be interested in maybe taking it from you and maybe doing some overclocking on it, and he agreed. So I took his old Ryzen 5 1600, and yeah, I confirmed what I suspected. He is running an MSI X370 Gaming Plus, so that has a big 4-phase VRM. So it is a, I would say, worse VRM than this, but for Ryzen 5, like any Ryzen 5, the VRM is completely fine. So yeah, he had problems hitting 4 gigahertz with his CPU, and even problems hitting 3.9 gigahertz, and I was just thinking, maybe it's the motherboard, maybe it's doing something wrong. So I stuck it in here, and I confirmed pretty much, like 3.9, the CPU is not going further. Like static 1.4 volts, I think I even tried 1.45. It's not doing 4 gigahertz, it's really bad. Like, that 1600 is really, really bad. And yeah, that's pretty much why I'm never using it. Like, I thought maybe I can get the 1600 a little bit further, like maybe 4.1, but no. So I'm just using the 1800X because, like, it is an 8 core. So yeah, and it's also faster per core, so it's also better for when I'm gaming on it. And also I am now trying to make trying to edit on this PC, because the Ryzen 7 1800X is better than my i7 8700K over in my main system. And yeah, and I am using Vegas Pro 15 for editing. The problem is I rely on some pretty heavy denoising, which is done via a plugin that's using mostly the GPU. Like, it's running fastest on the GPU. And yeah, when I'm denoising videos, which is always the case with real-life videos, and yeah, then pretty much the CPU can't actually be used that much. But I still have my main system free to use when this one is rendering, so I'm gonna try to do as much video work on this here PC and not on my main system, because when my main system is rendering I can't pretty much do anything on it for a solid like 2 to 3 hours, depending on how long the video is and how much denoising there is, because it really takes a long time to render videos with denoising active. And it looks really, really bad without denoising. So, yeah. And, yeah. So, that's pretty much also, yeah, what I wanted to say. And, yeah, that's my new Ryzen system. I have some more things. Like, I have a dock over here, which has a really, really old 300 gig hard drive in it right now. And then this thing that fell down, that's actually a fan hub. Like, you can control it by sticking something in there, but I broke one of the cables, so I'm not using it, because if you stick nothing in, it's just 100% speed all the time, which, like, I'm using this for the Morpheus heatsink and the radiator of my DIY custom loops, so running them 100% all the time is pretty much what I want, so I'm not complaining. And yeah, so now I think we can also go over some more stuff regarding my GPU collection over here, because yeah, so these are the GPUs that I test with mostly. So we can see here, that's my GTX 650. Actually did something with that today. I created a custom BIOS for it that allowed for more voltage, but it didn't quite get that much voltage, only 25 millivolts extra, and for some reason I couldn't get further than that. Improved overclocking a little bit, but like the core's still not that great. Then the two cards that are dead or dying, the 470, that one is completely foobarred. The only thing that's still working on there is the vCore VRM. And I do have something planned for it, but that might take a while until I can actually do something. There is the 560 Ti 448. That one has some VRAM issues, and basically it's the same issue that my other 780 Ti has, my WinForce over there. I fixed it on that card with a custom BIOS, but for the 560 Ti 448 you can't make custom BIOSes, so that card, like, you stick it in, you see a lot of artifacts, and when the driver tries to initialize, it just crashes. So yeah, that's pretty much a goner from what I can do. And then we have all the working cards. So the Zotac 780 Ti, my old WindForce 780 Ti, which I brought back to life, the Lightning 580, the DirectSteel 2 580, my 980 Ti, the HD 7950, and then the GTX 480 reference. And yeah, I also have a GT 240, which is somewhere under in that compartment that I'm using for debugging purposes, and pretty much whenever I need a display out, but don't really want to put a full-size GPU in something. And yeah, so there we have it. I put the light so you can see some more. And yeah, so Here's some more stuff that I like. That's a random monitor. I got it really cheap. I think 70 euros at the time. It's a full HD 60 Hertz monitor. The colors are pretty bad. It is actually overclockable to 74 Hertz. But like, yeah, it's a basic monitor. And it has DVI, VGA, and HDMI. So here I have DVI and HDMI for when I'm benching a graphics card. The VGA port actually goes down to Zoras Alpha, which, like, it has the iGPU plugged into it right there, but at the moment it also has the RX 570, so it's folding. Then for the keyboard I have a G-Skill Ripshaw's KM570, I think. So it's a Cherry MX red keyboard, also RGB, but like I don't really care about that. I just wanted a mechanical keyboard. Actually, I took the cheapest one that I could get, and this was it. Then, another Logitech G42. I have also using another one for my main system. And a random SteelSeries mousepad, which is clearly used, as you can see. And that right there is the mouse for the server, like for Zoras Alpha. That's a that's a Corsair Glaive RGB. That one's actually slightly broken, which is why I'm not using it anymore. And here you can see what the server's doing right now. I paused the GPU because it's an ASUS card, and ASUS cards get really, really loud when they do something, and I don't want the noise in the recording. But I'm gonna set it to folding again when I'm finished with the recording. And yeah, then we have some more stuff over here. Like, that's a really old OEM motherboard. That's pretty much just like, yeah, that's just, I can blow this thing up and no one would care. I use it basically for just stick a GPU in and stab it with the new multimeter. Like, that's a new one. And yeah, but the thing is, the power supply only has one 6-pin, so I'm pretty limited in what GPUs I test. At the moment I have a dead 6700 XL. And then where the lamp is at the moment standing on, I have some more stuff, screws and screwdrivers and like other tools that I work with. One of these things is actually that thing right here that I thought I had to use, but like, it's a really bright light that I can use to shine some light at stuff. I thought I wanted to highlight something on the motherboard, but yeah, I don't really think that there's nothing really to highlight here on the motherboard, so yeah. And that's pretty much it. We are at 20 minutes. I think that's a good length for the video, and I also don't really have anything more to show. Like, this is the new Ryzen based test system. That's where I do my benchmarks, and it's also a pretty good gaming rig. Like, when I'm visiting my friends again who live far, far away, I'm going to use this system and not my main system anymore, because that one is really, really heavy. And also with the water cooling, I have to drain the whole loop, and like, it's really heavy and really expensive. Like, there's not only is there an 8700K in it, there's also an RTX 2080 Ti. And then also, yeah, it's just easier to take this system somewhere. Like, I'm gonna change the case because this is Darkpace 700. It's way too large. But I'm just gonna swap the case with the one that Zoras Alpha is right now, and then I can take it basically anywhere. Like, I'm just gonna grab the 980 Ti, and then I have a pretty good gaming rig that I can just take somewhere and game on. So yeah. And I think on that we're gonna end it for today. And yeah, so GTX 580 versus video. I'm pretty far into this development cycle of that video, but I can't give you an ETA right now. But yeah, so that's the new Ryzen system from now on it's doing the benchmarks, and yeah. So see you until next time.